Hey guys, welcome back. So now the third whistleblower in money-related scandals to leading presidential candidate jae-myung is no longer with us on this earth. This time, he was found in a motel in Seoul, and he had previously sent out warnings that he was scared for his own life. And even this time, one of the profilers from the SJM case says that she thinks that something really creepy happened at that motel, even though the police in their preliminary report have said that there was no foul play. She's saying like, oh my gosh, you guys are like being super quick to make these conclusions, even though, yeah, let's say that Miss Thang was also participating in the super quick conclusions in the SJM case. Has she grown a conscience? Maybe so. Super sus. And then even while I was typing up this script, while preparing for this video, computer goes black, comes back on, and I get a creepy call from like the campaign. I didn't really like pick up or anything, but everything is just so weird. Is this country safe? So the lawyer's name is Lee Byung-chul, and he was found in the motel room at around 8:40 p.m. January 11th. But that is not when they think that he departed this planet. He was last seen going into the hotel room on January 8th in the morning, 3 days prior, after going to the convenience store, like to pick up, I guess, like a quick breakfast or something. So that was like 8:30 a.m. So that was the last time he was seen, and then he hadn't been contacted by his family members, or he hadn't contacted his family members, and there was like no activity on his social media. So people were starting to get worried, and that's when by January 11th, 3 days later, they were able to then get the police to forcibly open the door, because apparently you're not allowed, even as the hotel owner, to use the master key to force the door open unless you have the police present. So that's when they have this time frame, January 8th, on the morning with the CCTV. That's when they say that he last was seen enter the room. And then January 11th, when they opened the door and in the evening found him. So that is the time frame. So they took his body for an autopsy, and the preliminary results, the police said, oh my gosh, he had such a enlarged heart, like twice the size of a normal person. He had like blocked arteries or something like that. He was 55 years old. So there were people criticizing the police already, saying that you guys are sending out messages, like these implied messages that he had underlying health conditions, and like trying to bring up like people who barely knew him, saying like, oh yeah, I think he had like some health problems. His own family have been making statements to the media that he did not have any underlying health conditions. The police said that, oh yeah, well, we're gonna go check with the health insurance company, or we have national health insurance here, check his medical records to see if he had any underlying health issues, as if they're going on a hunt to prove their case. Does this sound familiar from the whole SJM case? That they want to find a conclusion that they have been maybe prepared for. They made this conclusion without the forensic results from the blood test to see if there was any kind of poisons or any toxins in his system. If you guys know of any kind of toxins or something that would like create a enlarged heart that's twice normal of a normal person's, let us know in the comments. They did say that he passed away from aortic rupture. So there's kind of basically implying that, oh, he was in such bad health that he passed away from aortic rupture naturally. Why he was in the motel room, we don't know. The family, I don't think, has said anything about like why he went into the motel room. But we do know that he was very concerned about his welfare, his safety. Why? He had already announced to the public that he had very, very, very horrible evidence against the presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung as voice recordings. And he had already given it to a citizens group. And usually in Korea, like if you want to make some sort of like big legal lawsuit, big stink, you give it to like a citizens committee and they initiate any kind of like legal proceedings or whatnot. He even posted in December that he is not the type of person to, make any dramatic decisions about his own life. That's how in Korea we word that. And I don't want to, say it here. But basically he's saying like, don't believe any kind of reports that, if suddenly he departs, he did not make a decision like that. He wants to stay to see his daughter get married. And then he was even joking with a friend. It's reported that his friend lives in America, saying that, gosh, this evidence is so bad that we may even see me end up in the Han River. And his friend was joking, saying like, oh, well, maybe you should just come to America. And he was joking, yeah, maybe I should. Craziness. So this was back in December 10th. And so he was joking about this whole thing. And so then this voice recording went over to a media outlet. And then he was kind of debating whether or not to give it to the media outlet. And the media outlet was like, look, we'll take full responsibility for this. And they released it because they were like, look, if something happens to you, we're definitely releasing this. We're making sure that this gets out there because we feel a responsibility. And they did release it. Now, what was it and why is it such a big deal? Because on the bigger scheme of things, I honestly didn't think it was like is that a really big deal? Like, is it a big deal? I guess it's a huge deal. Okay, so basically in 2018, Lee Jae-myung was going through a huge controversy and lawsuit. Remember the whole thing about him supposedly locking up his own brother in a psychiatric hospital, or him trying to, but he wasn't successful. But this book outlines the whole thing. And he wasn't able to do it, but then he said that I had nothing to do with it. And he went on the campaign trail saying I had nothing to do with it. Of course, all of his political enemies were accusing him of it. And apparently, like in a TV debate, he said like I had nothing to do with it. Apparently, that if he lied, that violates a campaign law that basically would eliminate him from the whole campaign, and that's a huge deal. So to defend himself against that, he hired the best lawyers, I guess, in Korea, and dozens of them, and it would cost millions of dollars. So what this recording essentially proved was that he got his legal bills paid by some unknown entity. We don't know who it is, but we do know that his legal bills were paid not by him, because people were like, wait, how did you afford this? Because, their bank accounts, I guess, are public as public servants. And then you're like, you can't afford this. And so now we know that somebody got about $300,000 in cash, and then about $2 million in stocks that they had to wait about 2 or 3 years to sell. And so that would be about now. And so he has this voice recording proving that essentially, why is this a big deal? Then it's a bribe. Because he basically arranged for his legal bills to be paid for by another entity. After all the accusations that former President Lee Myung-bak was able to kind of sidestep, one of the main reasons why he is still in jail right now as we speak is that he has been accused, and I think was convicted, of having his legal bills paid for by another corporation or person. So in Korea, that is a big deal, and that is something that can basically land you in jail. And so if this comes out right before the election, he can probably go to jail, and then that is the end. That is the end of his presidential campaign. And what did I say? We can have a January surprise. If this goes through, if this is proven, he may go to jail, because in Korea, that is a huge thing. You're not supposed to have like bribery of having your legal bills paid through some sort of back channel entity. So the sort of fake news side is showing him kind of stumbling up the stairs like on one evening. And basically they're trying to say like, oh, maybe he was ill. But it basically looked like he had something to drink, okay? Like that was like the way that I see it. Like, okay, he like kind of is walking across the street, like maybe not a little bit perfect, and then he's kind of going up the steps, and there's like a lot of steps, okay? I've seen young people kind of huff and puff up steps, okay? And then how do we know that that's kind of basically just a temporary condition? Because we see him the next morning just fine, you know. When we see him go to the convenience store to get breakfast, he's fine. So he probably just had something to drink that night. So then, but that is the last time we saw him that morning. So let's go over what is the creepy scenario. Well, first of all, who was this criminal profiler? Remember that lady who was from the SJM case, looking all super sus and looked like she was just kind of feeling like she had a guilty conscience? Well, it looks like she's trying to make up for her guilty conscience here, because she makes some really, really, really valid points, and she points out what we may have missed from the CCTV footage. So the last time we see him go back into his room, it looks like he just shuts the door. But then, 2 seconds later, the door seems to like crack open really quickly as if he wants to leave, but then it slams shut. And then about 1 second later, it cracks open really quickly again and then slams shut, as if there was a struggle. That is what she seems to be getting at, that there may have been somebody else in the room. So why can't we see the rest of the CCTV footage between January 8th and January 11th to corroborate, to see if somebody else had come out of the room in between then? She also says that there is a window in that room, so somebody else could have just escaped from the window. That is super creepy. She also makes another very valid point that if we didn't have her sharp eye, we could have missed as well. When the door finally does close on January 8th, supposedly the last time we've ever seen him, there is nothing caught in the door jamb or the door frame. But when the police go on the 11th to open up the door, his jacket is caught in the door frame. So that means that somebody else had been in that room, or that door had been opened again. But if that was the last time that he had ever opened that door on January 8th, then who opened the door in between then? Did somebody else go into that room? Did the killer open the door and leave? That is very creepy. What happened? That is extremely creepy. So this lawyer even is not some ultra right-wing enemy. He is a supporter of Moon Jae-in. He is on the left. Lee Jae-myung is on the left. Lee Jae-myung is somebody who is like, they're supposed to be on the same team. So this is even more creepy, but we are seeing people who are peeling away. Even the guy who wrote this book used to do business for Lee Jae-myung, and he's just like, oh my god, this guy's so like, no, this is a little weird. And then the actress who is now suing Lee Jae-myung and using the lawyer who wrote this book, I mean, she claims that, like, you know, they were very intimate together, and she's just like, oh no, I hate that guy. So why are all these people just after a while turning against this guy and saying he's the worst person on the planet? I will say this though. This guy is the ultimate show pony. If he were an actor, he could literally have diarrhea running down his leg and he would be finishing the musical on a song and dance. Like, he can go and nothing would faze him. So in that sense, ultimate performer. So again, this is the third person to now have gone with very critical information that could absolutely sink the campaign. January 11th. December 21st, December 10th. 3 people in the span of 30 days. And everybody's saying, like, what is up with that? And chul-soo did not mince words at all. He said that Lee Jae-myung is on a path of death and destruction. He says that this is absolutely insane or reminiscent of feudal warlords of ancient China. And we already know that seok-youl, the conservative opponent, has already been like, yo, I don't even want to debate this guy because he is a major criminal. So there are already the top opponents in the presidential race literally are publicly calling him a criminal. What is going on here, you guys? And again, look, for the people who didn't think the SJM case was a big deal, again, this is what I'm saying, you let that slide, then you just embolden everybody else to think that then they can get away with bigger and bigger and bigger stakes and that it's easy. So you guys, what do you think? Do you think something really creepy happened at the motel? Do you think that there is more to that door shutting theory and then the jacket getting caught in the door? It would definitely be a way for that profile to absolve herself. And my goodness, this campaign is turning into some real true crime story. Alright guys, leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.